Hi, I'm a young innovator, a young entrepreneur, and a tech enthusiast named Prajwal in H, currently studying in class 10 at BGS National Public School. I've been recognized as India's youngest Microsoft certified Azure AI engineer by the India Book of Records, and I'm also an Azure certified data scientist and a Microsoft certified Azure administrator. Also, I've been recognized as India's top 20 under 20 by the Brainfeed magazine and White Canvas India. Also, I am the person who came up with the idea of Emartz and also the win-win situation that is currently present at Emartz. I am very passionate towards entrepreneurship and technology and I'm absolutely in love with the combination of both of these domains, and is also a major skill set of mine. Also, I am a person who takes care of the entire tech related stuff with Emartz, and at the same time looks into Emartz with a business point of view, with potential growth perspectives and also with potential new opportunities that we can grab for Emartz. Over to my friend Dhrrithi.
Hello, my name is Dhrrithi Pillai.
I am a self-motivated, fun-loving person. I have the skill of being able to listen to people, connect with them and empathize with their situation, keeping myself in their place. A positive attitude to solve problems and find solutions quickly make me passionate about the things that interest me. Whether it is researching something new I've heard of or preparing a presentation with facts and figures. I'm responsible for the strategies deployed at Emartz. I'm also in charge of all the operations and ground level research conducted. I also play the role of a tester who tries to break every plan and find flaws in them and fix them. I am a central part of the research and revenue model generation. The problem statement. Small-scale retailers around us are losing a lot of business due to the large e-commerce websites and companies. Local retailers lack knowledge about the e-commerce space due to limited technology exposure. Retailers want to enter the e-commerce space but don't have a strategy in hand that can help them sustain in it. They are scared that all their efforts from such a long time might just go to waste and they would have to shut down their business and do something else. This pandemic has caused them a massive financial hit, and due to the fear of COVID, they have lost most of their loyal customers who have now adopted for the doorstep delivery solution for convenience, decreased exposure and contact with people. E-commerce is a paradigm shift, and going against it will only cause more harms than gains. It has been adopted and accepted by most customers and hence holds a great demand. A smart businessman or businesswoman would channelize their support towards it instead of going against it. Retailers fear to enter the e-commerce space due to the vast competition that they fear to be unmatchable. Most of the existing players in the B2B distribution space don't offer a credit system to the retailers.
Well, we saw about all the problems that are there in the current industry and in the current supply chain. Now let's have a look at how Emartz solves all of these problems one by one using a revolutionary and reinvented supply chain that is built by us in-house, and at the same time how Emartz creates a win-win situation for all of the parties involved in the supply chain and also keeps the entire supply chain profitable, from the manufacturers to Emartz as an organization to the retailers who are our main targets and also the consumers. Now, let's look at the solutions that Emartz brings onto the table. Number one, the discounting strategy. Now, what Emartz plans to do is that it wants to bring, or it rather aims to bring, the cost price of the goods so down that the selling price that the retailer will be selling it to the customer with a 50% increase in their profit margins will be equivalent to the cost price that the manufacturers give to these particular carry forward agents or the distributors. Now, how is this done? What Emartz does is, instead of placing an order for only 100 retailers that is done by a normal distributor or a carry and forward agent, Emartz has a retail network with its retail partners of around 1,000 retailers throughout the country. It takes the number of all of the orders required, say at the last week of the month, it processes these orders and places a bulk order to the manufacturer. Now what happens in the manufacturer's end is that since they are getting a bulk order of more than 10 times the normal orders they receive from carry and forward agents, their inventory moves faster. Since inventory management is a hassle and it takes a lot of resources, they save up on these resources. And at the same time, since we are giving them such bulk orders, we as an organization at Emartz have an extraordinary negotiation power with these particular manufacturers. We have the power to bring down the cost price of the goods that we are procuring from these particular manufacturers, and the manufacturers do it happily because we are saving them a lot more than the discounts that they are giving us through the inventory management costs. Also, Emartz as an organization does not maintain any inventory. Just like the companies like Unilever, etc., Emartz does not plan to own any assets of its own. Rather, it plans to outsource. All of the logistics in Emartz is outsourced, and even the inventory is outsourced. In fact, the inventory is actually managed by the logistics services itself. As a secret, all of the logistics services that are present in the industry actually have their own warehouses, their own inventories, which is only present or used by those particular logistics services, and when requested, given to third-party vendors or third-party consumers. What we can do is we use these inventories as cloud inventories. We pay for the amount of time our particular goods are stored in that inventory, and this is only done for distribution. If we get goods from a manufacturer, we store it in these inventories, and within hours we distribute which goods should go to which particular part of the country, and it is shipped there. So we only pay for an hour's time that we are utilizing to distribute where each particular product or how many products should go to which particular place through the logistics services. Also, a very revolutionary concept in Emartz is the credit system. So credit system is very important for a retailer. Let me tell you why. A credit system is what builds the retailer's trust and also keeps their business going. Since a retailer has this mutual trust agreement between a wholesaler or a distributor, the wholesaler distributor gives certain goods to the retailers on credit, which they can repay after booking their profits. That is, after they have sold majority of what they have procured from these distributors or these wholesalers. This gives a massive boost to these retailers and also makes their particular schedule or makes their work and life much more flexible in terms of being able to do business in the industry. Now, the credit system is very important, and many platforms, as we have seen, like Udaan, JioMarts, etc., are not ready to implement this credit system in a very efficient way. But some companies like Bajaj Finance and like BharatPe themselves have built an entire ecosystem, a company, an empire out of this one topic called the credit system. That is exactly what we plan to do with the retailers as well. What we will do is, since we have data of retailers of how much they've been able to sell, and all of this historic data is also mentioned or rather present with retailers as a khata, we collect all of that data through surveys, etc. We feed that into our data science algorithms, and we actually take out two labels. So labels are the results that we get when we pass any data sets or any data through an algorithm. So the data that is passed is called as features. Now the labels that we get, the outcomes that we get, are the duration of the credit that can be given to this particular retailer, and the second outcome is the amount of credit that can be given to this particular retailer. Now these are safe bounds and will be a range of amount and duration through which we understand how much we can trust the retailer and how much the retailer will be able to pay us back. Also, this data is present in many places. It is present in the retailer's khata. It is also present in companies like BharatPe, etc., which we can again outsource upon requesting. Now, this was the credit system of Emartz. Another solution is the demand and supply gap that is present between retailers. Now, retailers sometimes order in bulk and order in large quantities, and they're not always able to push out these goods. The main problem is they have a miscalculation of the amount of demand for that particular time or month. Now, using demand forecasting data science algorithms, we can actually predict the demand for that particular goods in this particular time period, and we can ask the retailers to place an order not more than a few extra than that is forecasted by the demand demand forecasting data science algorithm. Now the advantage is the retailers will only be ordering the amount that will probably be sold, and they'll not be incurring any loss on the goods that are not sold, and they'll be exiting the bad debt and the wastage section of their entire goods and supply chain. Also, a lot of products have shelf life, that is, they expire after an X period of time, and being able to sell this particular goods before that expiry date is very important, and hence also being able to forecast how much demand is present for those particular goods in the particular time period becomes equally important. Emartz also plans to set up a B2C supply chain. So everything we were talking about earlier is a part of the B2B supply chain, that is the business to business supply chain. Now in the B2C, that is the business to consumer supply chain, Emartz plans to bridge the gap between these retailers and the consumers. We all know that retailers are present very nearby to our homes, and we plan to have retail partners almost in every locality, just like Zomato has a delivery partner, has hundreds of delivery partners, and also has hundreds of restaurants linked with it. So these retail partners will be responsible for delivering. Why and how? Well, we all know that retailers are very close by to us, and also one thing I've noticed is retailers are very open to deliver the particular goods to our doorstep because of the less distances that they have to travel, and they can easily deliver this to their two-wheeler, etc. Now what Emartz does is it collects all of this data, the logistics data that the particular retailer has. That is, if he has a two-wheeler, if he has to deliver the particular good walking, or say that particular retailer has some extra large vehicles through which he can deliver goods. All of this data is collected, and the range at which the retailer can deliver goods is decided. So what I as a consumer need to do is open the Emartz app. I have products listed at dirt cheap prices thanks to the discounting strategy I was talking about earlier, and now when I click on a product, it tells me which retailer has that product available, and it ensures that that retailer is the nearest one present to me, and also has the capability to be able to deliver that particular good to my doorstep. Now this beats the 10-minute, 15-minute delivery models of Zepto, and it becomes instant. Deliveries since they are taken care by retailers again, it's not a hassle that Emartz has to manage completely end to end. So all of these salaries that have to be provided to delivery partners, Emartz does not have to do that. Retailers take care of that, and they as retailers have the ability to actually go ahead and deliver the particular goods to the consumers at their doorstep. Also, Emartz plans to use existing B2C solutions like Amazon, say Flipkart groceries, and many other solutions, and plans to implement techniques like customer acquisition, SEO, customer retention, and all of these sci-fi business terms, through which the advantage is that retailers will not have to maintain all of this and will not have to get into this hassle. Rather, they will be only involved in their particular business and growing their particular business with Emartz. Emartz plans to create an entire retail network using retailers and their shops as localized, free and unmanaged inventories that the retailers take care for us, and when the demand comes, we can always use these inventories through Emartz, and they are completely on demand.
Alright, so now let's look at the business model of Emartz itself as a prototype. So here, as you can see, we'll be comparing two business models, that is the current and traditional B2B supply chain, and also the Emartz B2B supply chain. We'll be seeing the advantages that Emartz on one side holds, and also the problem that Emartz solves over the traditional supply chains. So let's begin. So now let's look at the current and the traditional B2B supply chain that is there in the market. That is how goods come from a manufacturer to a retailer, and from the retailer to an end consumer. So let's start out. So first you have the manufacturer, as you can see here, and now the manufacturer, whatever goods he or she is selling, say for example, we're going to take an example that the manufacturer is selling out a quantity of 100 of whatever good it is producing at a price of 80 rupees per item. So for one item at the price of 80 rupees, it is giving out 1000 such items to someone called as the carry and forward agent. So this carry and forward agent is basically a person who takes all of the items in bulk from the manufacturer and also stores it with them for a certain period of time. Now, what this carry and forward agent will do is it will have a lot of goods with it, and what they will do is they will give it, for example, to someone called as a distributor or a stockist at say a profit of 5 rupees per item, because they will be having their own inventories, they'll be having operational expenditures, and at the end of the day, since it's business, they will have to have some profits for themselves as a part or a member of the supply chain, and therefore they give the same goods at a price of 85 rupees to the distributor or stockist. So here, as you can see, from manufacturer it came at 80 rupees. The quantity here, as you can see, was 1000. From here, since it is going to multiple distributors, this carry and forward agent, say for example, give it to 2 distributors, and for both of them it gave them a quantity of 500 each and at a price of 85 rupees. Also, some part of these goods would also be taken forward, or would rather be stored by the carry and forward agent, so that when the demand increases but the supply is less, okay, the value of that particular good will increase. So that time this carry and forward agent can push out that stock to distributors or wholesalers directly and actually earn additional profit due to the additional value gained during that particular demand and supply gap. So here, from say the distributor and stockist, as we know, it will go to the wholesaler, and again, since it is going to go to multiple wholesalers, the quantity, the same strategy is going to be implied by the distributor or the stockist, and it's going to go, say for example, a quantity of 250 goods or 250 items of that particular product is going to go to a wholesaler, and the catch here is that it is going to go at 90 rupees. So again, there will be a profit of around 5 rupees that is booked by the distributor or the stockist. And here, as you can see, I have highlighted 85 rupees for a reason we'll be understanding very soon. So as you can see, from the wholesalers, it is now going to go to the retailers finally. It was here, so the wholesalers got the same goods at a price of 90 rupees. From the manufacturer, it came at 80, and say a quantity of 200 is going to be shipped to around 100 retailers at the price of 95 rupees per good. Yes, so every single good will be priced at 95 rupees, and that is what the retailer is going to receive, from around 80 rupees to 95 rupees. And say the wholesaler is going to ship a quantity of 200 to around 100 retailers. And at the end of the day, what happens is the retailers have to gain some profit as well. And since the amount of goods that they have is very less, the quantity is very less, their profit margin naturally increases. And here, as you can see, all the parties were say taking a profit of around 5 rupees in the process, but a retailer will take a profit of 10 rupees because the amount he is selling is going to be less, the quantity being sold is going to be less. So he'll have to manage the profits that he's going to get in order to run his business by increasing the margins, or that the profit margins per product. So here, as you can see, a 95 rupees product is going to be shipped out to a consumer at 105 rupees, and this is going to be the MRP of that particular product that the retailer usually sells at. And as you can see, it is going to be 100 retailers. Now, in this entire supply chain, one thing we can notice very well is there are a lot of players that are unnecessary in the supply chain, but as retailers, or but as anyone looking inside the supply chain, they seem essential because there is this one orchestration flow that is made up in this current supply chain, and every element of this actually looks essential, but the reality is every element of this is not essential in this particular supply chain. In the B2B supply chain, you have the carry and forward agent, the distributor, the stockist. All of these particular players can be replaced by just one, and that is exactly what Emartz does, and it does this in a very smart way. Let's look at it. So let's come to the Emartz B2B supply chain. So here we are revolutionizing the entire supply chain, and also at the same time we are reinventing the supply chain with a main motive of creating a win-win situation for all of the parties involved in the supply chain. So here, if you can see, from the manufacturer, instead of going at a quantity of 1000, if you remember, the carry and forward agent took it at a quantity of 1000, so that particular good, but at Emartz we are going to be taking at a quantity of 10,000, and no, we are not going to be maintaining any inventory to store that extra 9,000, but we are going to be telling you how that extra 9,000 is going to be distributed and where that extra 9,000 quantity that we are booking from the manufacturer is going to go. Now the advantage here is it creates a win-win situation even in only this small cycle, because when we are taking a quantity of 10,000 from the manufacturer, the inventory of the manufacturer naturally moves faster. Inventory management is a complete chaos, and it is also a very time consuming and a money consuming procedure that is done by manufacturers or anyone perhaps in the supply chain. And since we are booking a quantity of almost 10,000, number one, we get priority first for delivery, and number two, we get an acute negotiation power over the manufacturer as Emartz. Because we are actually saving the manufacturer on inventory costs, we can easily or drastically bring down the price of the particular good, or the cost price of that particular good we are buying for the manufacturer, from 80 rupees to 60 rupees, because we are going to be saving the manufacturer on inventory costs. So the same cost or a part of it can be used to decrease the cost price of the goods that we are buying from the manufacturer at massive bulk. And now from Emartz, all the logistics is going to be taken care, or rather outsourced and managed by Emartz. If you can see in the previous B2B supply chain, all the logistics has to be managed by a particular party that currently owns the goods, or either is currently going to be the goods are going to be delivered to. For example, the retailer, the wholesaler, the distributor, everyone in the supply chain will have to manage the logistics, and there is this mutual conversation that goes on between them. This particular mutual agreement can go wrong. There are a lot of things that can go wrong in this, and that is why Emartz takes care of the logistics as a whole. And also, since logistics is a very big chaotic business, Emartz does not take charge of this, but rather outsources logistics. So the delivery time, date, everything will be managed by Emartz, but rather the pressure to deliver will be on the outsourced logistics services, so that Emartz will not have to maintain capital for that, and at the same time the maintenance cost, all of the extra costs that will be that will be consumed by logistics services is going to be outsourced, and it's like a cloud model. We only use how much of the services we need when it is outsourced. That is the main reason we are outsourcing the logistics at Emartz. So as you can see, the logistics charges is again going to be paid by Emartz, but here from a price of 60 rupees, we are coming to a price of 70 rupees. That is, there is a hike of almost 10 rupees, and that is the profit that we are booking. And the 10 rupees profit is because we are also paying for the logistics, and that justifies this 10 rupees profit that we are booking. Nevertheless, the price at which we are delivering the goods to retailers is actually far less than the cost price that the carry and forward agents get in a normal B2B supply chain from the manufacturer. Here the retailers are getting the goods at 70 rupees, whereas a normal carry or forward agent in the traditional supply chain gets the same goods at around 80 rupees from the manufacturer. And this is the advantage, this is the beauty of the discounting strategy that Emartz implements. So here also another very important thing to note is that there's a credit system, as I had mentioned, given to the retailers. So this credit period is decided based on the history of the retailer, how well the retailer is performing, and all the other main criteria that we are going to be taking. All the data that we're going to be having about the retailer is going to be used for the credit system. This is going to be a data science algorithm that is going to go through all of the features that we provide, that is all of the various data sets that we have provided about a retailer, all the data we have given about a retailer, and the end label of that particular data of that particular data science algorithm, or that particular AI algorithm, is how much time can this particular retailer be given a credit, and how much amount of credit can this particular retailer be given that is flexible for the retailer to actually pay back in this particular period of time. Also, another advantage we offer to retailers is the demand forecasting. A lot of retailers, what they do is they miscalculate the amount of goods that they want for that particular month, and since most of the goods have a shelf life, they end up expiring. This becomes bad debt for a retailer, and also it becomes a huge waste for a retailer. All of this is going to go into their pockets and is going to burn a hole into their pockets. That is why, to prevent that, we bring up something called as demand forecasting. We again use data science algorithms and AI algorithms, and I, as one of India's youngest Microsoft certified AI professionals or Microsoft certified AI engineers, have actually worked on various demand forecasting models in Azure, and the beauty of it is limitless. Demand forecasting is one such category in AI which has a massive potential, through which retailers can actually forecast how much demand is going to be there for this particular good and place an order of only that much with very few extras that is delivered for the safekeeping of the retailer. And also it saves retailers on a lot of capital. And since retailers are people who will not always have a lot of capital with them, the credit system is just going to do better. And also, since the retailers are going to give it at only 70 rupees, here is where the catch lies. We are not going to be distributing it to only 100 retailers like a wholesaler. Rather, we are going to be distributing the same to almost 1000 retailers, and these retailers are going to be known as retail partners. So these 1000 retailers are what is the answer to the quantity that we bought, that is 10,000 from the manufacturer. Instead of actually only selling it to 100, we're going to be selling it to 1000 retailers across the country over a wide geographical area, through which we can buy massive bulk quantities from the manufacturer and distribute to retailers at ultra dirt cheap prices. So where the carry and forward agents got it at around 80 rupees, retailers are getting it at 70, and again the quantity is going to be 10,000 divided by around say 1000 retailers, and the best part is the consumer is going to get it at 85 rupees. So this was the price that a distributor got in the traditional B2B supply chain. So now consumers are going to be able to get goods at retail quantities but at almost wholesale or distributor level prices. They're going to get massive discounts, and the advantage here, if you can see, is retailers booked a lot more profit. Instead of 10 rupees, they booked at around 15 rupees of profit per good or per item sold. That is a massive 50% hike in their profit margins that they are going to be able to book with Emartz. Also, thanks to the B2C supply chain that Emartz has set up, the demand that the retailers are going to receive is just going to increase. So the demand increases, the profit margin increases, and there is a win-win situation in all of the parties involved in Emartz, and that is the beauty of the discounting strategy that Emartz implements, and also that is the beauty of the entire reinvented supply chain at Emartz.
We believe that almost all businesses are scalable. What matters is the mindset of the founders and the way they seek and use opportunities to scale their business. Emartz is a highly scalable solution as it exists in a form of a network. We would not need to hold and maintain many assets. We have ample retailers around us and across the country that we can invite into one network. So there are no scarcities of retailers, and that is one question solved. Now, there are also multiple manufacturers around the country and several logistic providing services throughout the country that operate at a massive scale. As we are outsourcing these services in the solution, we don't need to worry about the scalability of the logistic solutions. Scaling the users through promotion and organic marketing, we just need to increase the supply from the roots and pump it through the entire system in order to cater the increasing demands. The FMCG domain is highly scalable as we know, increasing our perks.
Now, let's talk about the feasibility of the Emartz solution. So, number one, Emartz is very feasible because it creates a win-win situation for all of the parties involved in the supply chain. Now, when it is a win-win situation, when I win, when the opposite party wins, then why not? It becomes feasible all by itself. So the B2B supply chain is absolutely feasible for any party involved in the entire supply chain. Now coming to the B2C, why would anyone in the world choose Emartz? Number one, because we are not creating a behavioral change. It's very difficult, as we know, to create a behavioral change in any human. Now, humans are already adopted and have now accepted the doorstep delivery solutions provided by companies like Zepto, Zomato, Swiggy, and many more. So we are not creating something new. We are just ensuring that the platform they use for buying these goods is changed. So we are just working on customer acquisition and we are not creating any behavioral changes in the humans. This means that Emartz has a potential to become a success faster than any other player in the market. At the same time, retailers, as according to our data and surveys, are very open and free to actually be able to deliver to doorsteps that are very close or in close proximity to their shops. This also ensures that we do not have to maintain any delivery partners, and the retailers have this bond with these customers that they meet personally, and they have this sense of trust. So now retailers have a sense of trust on these consumers, and consumers have a sense of trust on these retailers. What else do we want in a B2C supply chain? Now this is very important, and this peer-to-peer bond that is created between a retailer and a consumer is just invaluable in business, and is just invaluable and cannot be outbeaten by any other bond or app, or rather a delivery person, a new delivery person coming to your doorstep every time. So this bond is created and makes the solution much more feasible, makes consumers feel much more comfortable, and even makes retailers feel much more responsible towards their consumers. We as a team at Emartz believe that there are no full stops in success, there are only commas, because success is not a destination, success is a journey. With this quote, I would like to thank you for your patient listening. Thank you. This is Prajwal and H and Dhrrithi signing off.